through, getting back out and training again and proving to yourself that, you're making some progress and you're all right. So yeah, it was a massive challenge. And yeah, like I said, the uncertainty of knowing, when your return date is the hardest part. And you also feel like with any injury that, you're not able to do the job that you're there to do. Like I said at the start, and you feel a sense of letting down your teammates, letting down your coaches. I mean, and the fans, like, the people that come watch you expect you to be playing and performing. The fans are the ones that keep the club alive by paying their memberships and coming to watch games. And um, yeah, there's that real sense of disappointment and frustration, especially when you've had a number of injuries and been out of the game. I've had 6 or 7 hamstring strains now in my right leg, which I'm currently recovering from one, ironically enough. Um, and yeah, it's been an absolute journey, I suppose, getting through those rehabs, and certainly learnt a lot along the way. But I think I'm in a really good space now with, my perspective on things. And a bit of my mantra now is just controlling what you can control, and anything else, you just can't let it define you. So I find now whenever an injury comes, it's largely out of my control, and what's most important is how I respond to it. And I feel like that's what, that's how I'll judge myself, and that's how the people closest to me will judge me. The media or people from the outside will probably, if you ask them about me, would just say I'm a small forward that's got a little bit of potential but injury ridden. But yeah, it's not how I see myself, and I know that's not how my teammates and coaches see me. And yeah, I think that's a massive thing in mentally getting over some of those challenges.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, thanks for sharing and being honest with the challenges, both mentally and physically, with injury, particularly long-term ones. And I can only imagine the 2020 challenges with COVID and everything else would have exacerbated that to a whole new level. You mentioned you learnt some things. Clearly, the way you go about it is very professional at that point in your career. So you would have been ticking a lot of those controllables. What were the things that you learnt this time around?
Yeah. So, I mean, those controllables that I spoke about, it was, things like making sure, your work rate, your work ethic, the attitude you come into the club with, taking notice of what's happened with my injuries, and learning from, what's good for my body and what's not. I think, over the journey of all the injuries, I've just learned the value of resilience and sort of what that means. Um, and how, I mean, how difficult it kind of is to have that value like properly. Like, I think a lot of people might call themselves resilient or say that someone's resilient, but it's when you really get tested from a number of injuries or a year out, or with that uncertainty, like I talk about, where it really gets tested. Um, so, yeah, they're probably the main things. And like I think I spoke a little bit about before about perspective, but um, the injuries have kind of just given me perspective that there's more to life than football as well. um, and that's critical. And I talk about balance before, but if you're living in a football bubble, or just investing 100% of your time just into football, and you're not putting time into other things, then it's going to be even more devastating when an injury comes around, and you're not going to have those other avenues to support yourself, or even distract yourself sometimes, which can be important. Yeah, just that perspective that there's more life than footy, and when it's out of your control, there's only so much you can do. You just got to do your best, and then what happens a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, love that, mate. Like you said, resilience comes from those testing times, and particularly when you're up against it with uncertainty in that environment with COVID and everything that was going on, and when it's a long term as well. So hats off to you on the way you approached it. I don't think it's any easier managing it in a full time capacity, because you are managing the pressure of, like you said, the fans, you're surrounded by football, so it's hard to get out of it. Did you pick up any sort of hobbies or things outside of football during that year of 2020 to try and distract you from the game?
Yeah, well, it was quite difficult with COVID, with the roller coaster that it was, with lockdowns and so forth. And we had it was pretty challenging for me because we did a couple hubs over east, and there was sort of restrictions within those with what we were allowed to do. So you were really kind of stuck in a bit of a footy bubble, literally. So
Yeah.
it was pretty challenging. I think I was quite lucky. I actually met my girlfriend at the start of last year, just before COVID, and she's been massive just with being a support for me and a distraction, and someone I can vent to and spend time with outside of football. So that was definitely huge for me. But um, yeah, I'm still studying, which takes up a lot of time. I'm just trying to balance my time doing other things, and like I spoke about at the start, then just trying to make the time that I do spend training and rehabilitating just quality with high energy, so that I feel refreshed and try not to think about it too much.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Well, we're going to. I'm going to handball it over to a couple of academy guests. We'll have a quick drink break, and I'll play a short video about the academy, and then I'll hand it over to Rama first. Ask his question to Sam, and then Noah's tuned in, so he can ask the question for Sam as well. So
Sounds good.
here's the academy, guys. For those that don't know what it is, here's a quick little video while we have a quick drink break. Cheers, Sam.
Hi, I'm Jack McLean, an AFL football strength and conditioning coach, and I want to introduce you to the Prepare Like a Pro Academy. Academy is a subscription-based platform where you can sign up to be a part of our community. Each episode of the podcast, and are hungry for more, this is for you. Designed for aspiring AFL athletes and staff, you'll receive heaps of bonus weekly content, learn who the guests are in advance, and submit questions. Access to our Facebook group with Jack and other Prepare Like a Pro coaches. You'll be able to receive merchandise, program discounts and freebies, and get free access to our live events, exercise technique database, and much more. This is a great way for you to support the podcast, and it helps me with production and release of epic content for you guys each week. Your contribution goes a long way in making the Prepare Like a Pro community possible, and just for $5 a week, you'll have access to all of this special content released on our Academy forums. There's no lock-in, and you can cancel absolutely anytime.
Welcome, Rama.
Hi, I'm Jack McLean.
Welcome, Rama, to the chat. Rama has also worked at Box Hill, or currently he's working at Box Hill Hawks with us.
Awesome.
So he's another Box Hill man.
Love that.
In the strength and conditioning department. So I'll handball it over to you, Rama, to ask your question, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent. Thanks, Jack. And yeah, thanks Sam, for the chat. It was, I found it to be really insightful, plenty of gems in there, and I enjoyed it a lot. Mate, my question to you was, you spoke quite a bit about perspective during that chat. And I was wondering, what are some of the things that you either know or do physically that you wish you either knew or did back at the beginning of your career? What are some of those things?
Yeah, good question. So I suppose with perspective on life, that sort of point, it certainly has been massive for me now, and didn't probably have that as much when I was younger. I suppose one thing I might mention is gratitude. I spend a lot of my time doing a lot of gratitude exercises, listening to podcasts, doing a journal every day, just to say what I'm grateful for, sort of 3 things. And that's a fantastic way that I've been able to reset and just kind of gain that gratitude and perspective about that there is more to life than football, or might be whatever. As an S&C coach, if you're having a hard time, it can be massive with just opening your eyes a little bit and losing that sort of tunnel vision, or being stuck in that work bubble. So that's been huge. I think I wish back then, when I was younger, I asked more questions and was a bit more open to different things. I think I was a bit single-minded back then, and I thought there was one way of doing things, and if I kind of didn't have that fear of asking a silly question, or fear of judgment, it would have got me a lot further, and I probably would have learned a lot quicker. Being open to sort of different things, because you never know what you might find. It's just, there's so many people, like great people out there, knowledgeable people to learn off. And this podcast has had some awesome guests on it, which I'm sure the viewers have learned so much off. So they're probably the things that come to my mind, but it's a fantastic question. And I suppose I'd also say that, there are things that I wish I did back then that, that I didn't do back then that I do now, but I'm sure there's things now that I'm not doing that in 5 years I'm going to be doing. So I'm just constantly trying to find what those things are and just keep evolving. And perspective is just, like, for myself personally, if I have a fantastic football career, I'll probably play till I'm 32. That would be unbelievable. And then I'm probably still going to have to work for 30 or 40 years after that doing something else.
No doubt.
So having that, sort of in mind when something goes wrong, it just, opens your eyes a bit. It gives you that perspective and helps you through the challenges a little bit more, I think.
Excellent. Good question. Yeah, sounds great, mate. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Rama. Thanks for your question, mate, and good to see you on the podcast for the debut Q&A. You asked the first question of our guests. So
that's right.
I'm gonna have to get one of those. I'm gonna have to get one of those t-shirts.
Oh, they're great. My favorite t-shirt.
You're representing.
Yeah.
No, mine's working now. I was like, Rama's. I tried to do that special thing with the camera where it does the mirror, and it wasn't working, and then you've come on, and now it's working, mate. So you got the touch.
That's right. It's all good.
Awesome, Rama. We'll speak soon, mate.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, cheers.
All right, now we got Noah, a huge Geelong fan, very critical fan, I must say. But I've worked with Noah for a few years now and worked with his dad as well. So, Noah, I'll handle it over to you, mate, to ask your question for Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Sam, just quickly, obviously there's a lot of focus at sort of the high level on physical shape and your physical training. I know you touched on it briefly actually in your last answer, but are there things that you do that you're willing to share on a more mental side that sort of translate into improved performance, like things like, I don't know, you mentioned journaling or meditation, those sorts of things?
Yeah, I'm happy to elaborate a little bit. It's a good question. So I'd first start off just by saying quickly that those mental sort of things I value almost more than, some of the physical training I do, because without it, I physically can't train as well. So, so from a journaling perspective, it can be, for me now, I used to do a bit of a routine where I'd make myself write every night or second night, but I found that didn't work for me. So now it's a bit of just when I feel like I can sit down and write for 10, 20, 30 minutes, I'll do it. And it's just it could be about life, about how I'm feeling about something. But if it's more related to my training and my football, it's just kind of, I guess, a little bit of evaluation of the day or my training and how I felt during it, maybe what I could have improved, what I did really well, that positivity and that, I don't know how to say it, but just kind of encouraging yourself and rewarding yourself for the good things you're doing out there, I think is super important. I think we always have this negative bias and we're always hard on ourselves. So you got to remind yourself of the things that you're doing well. Within my game reviews with my line coach, my forward coach at Fremantle, and some of the vision I watch, similar thing, we try and keep it super positive. And like I said at the start of the podcast, with confidence is a bit of a challenge. It's just so important to have those constant reminders of things that you're doing really well, and to keep focusing on those. I find if I'm focusing too much on something that I'm trying to improve or a bit of a in my game, it'd be a little bit detrimental to my performance. And often it still is absolutely important to improve where we need to, but a little more focus on the strengths and trying to just make them even better, because at the end of the day, it's for football. I've got a specific role in the team and I'm in there for my strengths. So it's important for me to boost those as much as I can. And I'm sure for other jobs, there's probably relations you can make. Other mental, exercises. I mean, it's probably not so much as a mental exercise, but like a massive on routine. So like for my sleep, I make sure I'm not on my phone for 30 minutes before I go to bed. Doesn't always turn out that way, but I try my best, and getting yourself into the right headspace to get the best sleep. There's lots of evidence out there, as most people would know about, looking at a screen just before bed, how it can be disruptive, and things like eating a certain amount of time before bed. But yeah, they're probably the key things I can sort of think of. Meditation is something that I'm learning a lot about, but haven't mastered it. I'm way off mastering it. I think there's massive benefit in it. For me, I use it more from like an anxiety point of view to just kind of clear my thoughts and refresh myself. I hate to go into a training session or a game overthinking. And also sometimes use it for like some imaging for games. So like the day before, I'll write down all my focuses for the game. Try not to spend too much time on it, but I'll write my focuses down. Then I might spend like 5 or 10 minutes just envisaging. Can't say that word. Bringing those things to life, I suppose. So if one of my focuses for the game is take it on. Don't be scared of getting caught holding the ball. Use your speed. I'll just try and picture in my head me actually doing those things, or go back to times in previous games where I've done it well. I find they can be really beneficial exercises. So hopefully there's a couple of things in there you can take out of it. But I definitely think it's a space that more athletes need to invest in. But it's the whole space is constantly evolving, and there's still so much for myself to learn. And I certainly haven't mastered a lot of it, but trying my best.
Yeah. No, awesome. That was super insightful. Thank you.
No worries.
Great question, Noah. Thanks for jumping on, mate.
Anytime.
We'll see you in the gym soon. We're back in action.
Sounds good.
Catch you, mate.
Thanks.
All right, we've got another speedster now, Sam. Corey.
It's a good question.
A couple of Ajax boys coming on.
G'day.
G'day, Corey. How you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. Sorry, I'm on not on landscape. My phone was playing up.
Oh, that's all right, mate. We'll accept it.
Beautiful.
I'll jump off.
Sam, how are you?
Good, mate. Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just wanted to ask you a couple of questions just regarding. I thought I'd ask you some questions that your answers would be really beneficial for me. So I've just gone through second ACL in a couple of years, and so I'm doing my rehab with Jack, and I'm I'm 10 months post surgery, so I'm getting ready for my pre-season's literally about to start in a week. So I just wanted to know what a week, or if you can just tell me what day by day a week sort of looks like for you in terms of pre-season, and how much emphasis you put on recovery and all that.
Yep. Yeah. So firstly, I'd say well done for getting through this much rehab, because that's it's impressive, and it's challenging. It's important to note. So
appreciate it.
Keep up the good work there. But so a standard sort of pre-season week, I suppose, for me at the football club, sort of like a full-time schedule, Monday to Friday and weekends off, just for a bit of context. So we would usually do Monday, Wednesday, Friday as our main running training sessions, and then leg weights on those same days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday would probably be a bit more cruisy and just mainly get 2 sessions in, and then Tuesday, Thursday for upper body, and then with a bunch of skills and meetings and all that sort of stuff within. I suppose the important parts of it, you mentioned recovery. That is, a massive, I suppose a huge or invaluable part of performance. I undervalued it when I was younger, and I've just found with all my injuries, those little 1%ers, which you think might not be doing much, I think definitely help a lot. And even from a mental point of view, doing something often like I'll have an ice bath, and potentially physically that's not doing much for, say, a hammy injury or something like that.
Yeah.
But if mentally it makes me feel better, then I still think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So those 1%ers I still value. So in a week, I'd prioritize getting some good recovery in post sessions, any training sessions that I do. And that recovery includes diet, which is important for me because I'm quite light and can sort of lose weight quite easily.
That's
and
very similar. Yeah, very similar.
Yeah. So getting that first feed in super quick, I found is really important, just from a muscle recovery point of view, from a energy point of view. So the diet part of it, then it's just preparation, like ensuring that if you got a big day, make sure you get a good sleep. Like, it's simple things, and probably things you've heard 1,000 times before, but those I think are massive, and still people don't value them as much as they should. And so the recovery pieces of diet, sleep, the extras of like your hydro, like ice baths, it could be compression, it could be massage, stretching, flexibility, mobility, it is. And like I said earlier in the podcast, just really channel all your energy into your most important sessions, and quality. Don't try and do too much work. Do what you think is the right amount, and make sure you get the most out of that. Other things, I mean, in a week, days off, like, it's critical to have days off. So make sure that or two, however long it needs to be, just to sort of refresh mentally and physically, and enjoy yourself. Like, it's probably, especially I know in my job, it's just critical to make the most of your days off and enjoy it and relax and refresh. So that's kind of what it looks like. Is that sort of enough detail, or go into a little bit more about specific sessions? But
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's anything that I can just pick from that to sort of emulate into my preseason coming up. Yeah, brilliant. I appreciate it.
Yep, and I'd probably also just note, like, injuries can put a bit of self-doubt into the body, especially recurring injuries, and can kill confidence a little bit. But like I said earlier, just remember that you can only control what you can control. You might do all the right things, or you could do, or could vice versa, and whatever it is. So just whatever sort of happens, if you've done the work, then it's kind of all you can do, and just trust yourself and back yourself in, and have confidence when you go out there running and training again, and whatever happened will happen, but it's out of your control. So if you know in yourself that you've done the right things, then it's a pretty good start.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate it. Cheers for that, Sam.
No worries, and good luck with the rest of the rehab.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Thanks, guys. Great question, Corey. Thanks for jumping on, mate.
No worries, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully you wrote down some notes there. That was good.
I did. Got my sticky notes.
There we go. Very good. Awesome, mate. We'll catch up soon.
Brilliant. See you later.
Catch you, Corey. All right, we got the Webster now. He's having a breakout year with the Ajax, a very athletic ruckman, probably the shortest ruckman in VAFA, but he's
definitely the shortest ruckman in
VAFA. All right, but you're on, Noah.
Hey, Sir, I hope you're well.
Thanks, mate.
I actually had a couple questions lined up, but I actually kind of want to go off the cuff. So I wanted to ask. So I heard Ross Lyon had a lot of things to do with implementing things to help the players' careers sort of after and outside of footy. And I was wondering if Freo does anything for like you guys. So sort of touching on Noah's point before, like to sort of help you guys mentally. And if that's individual or even to help camaraderie as well.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple parts to that sort of question. If I give you a bit of an insight, Freo and whilst Ross was there, but even now, encourage all players to, do something outside of football, whether it's study or work experience, and to sort of prepare for life after footy, which I think is awesome. I know decades ago in the AFL, that was not something that was really spoken about, and there was no push from anyone really for players to do anything outside of football, and it sort of created issues for players once they were delisted or retired, that they had nowhere to sort of go. So I'm incredibly fortunate that I got 3 years of a degree done before coming to Freo, and I'm just about to graduate this year, which makes me feel comfortable knowing I'll have a degree when I finish up footy. So,
which degree was that?
Environmental engineering.
Interesting.
Which it is. Well, it's interesting to some people. It's it's not bad, but it's 7 years in the making. So I've almost finished up.
How do you pick that? Like, just as a side note.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school, and I was good at maths at school, but I realised I actually wasn't that good once I started doing the engineering degree. I don't know, to be honest. It's just something I went into. So it was a bit random. I'm not sure if I'll actually end up doing that. Once I finish, I might end up studying something else or going down a different path, but the option's there at least.
Yeah, because that one's
and the second, just remind me of the second part of your question about the...
just like mentally for you guys, or for the team as a whole, like running workshops or anything like that. Or like even just like, I don't know, just nights out.
Yeah. So, I mean, team chemistry, camaraderie is super important. We know that. Like, you'll be, the more care you have for your players and the closer your relationships are, the more you're going to want to put your body on the line when you go out and play with them. It's just, and the harder you push each other, the more the respect that's there. You're able to give more critical, constructive feedback without feeling like you'll be judged or it'll be taken the wrong way. So, yeah, that stuff's massive. And what we do for it, we do things outside of the club, like whether it's catch-ups and, dinners and things like that, to make sure everyone's getting around each other. We make sure when guys first get drafted to the club, they always go and live with a player. It's just a good way to get them in around some of the boys and build those relationships early. And a lot of us live together, to be honest. I lived with 4 other players at one time, I think a couple of years ago, in a house. And
I'm sure that house got very dirty.
It's a fair call. But just, doing that and building relationships was huge. We do specific like workshops, like you said, it's a good word for it, within the club. So we have a couple people employed who come and work on like culture and trademark within the club. We think it's super important for us to have a trademark that we all live and buy into, and we have a lot of sessions about what that sort of actually means, and coming up with actions and different things we can do to buy into it more. And we're constantly doing that sort of stuff together in smaller groups or as a whole group, and just trying to all get on the same page and get closer with each other. But it's a really good question, so hopefully that answers it.
Just on as like a follow from the actions, like what could you give an example of like an action or?
Yes. So. Yeah, good question. I'd say an action might be. So we might have a trademark session. A guy will come in, and one of the guys employed will come in and we'll go through a few parts of our trademark, and the action might be we sit down for half an hour and we jot down as many things we can think of that sort of would be an action of that trademark. And then it's about when we see it at the club or in a game, like at training, or just anywhere where we're all together, we make sure we call it out and say, like, don't swear, but great job. Almost just pop the F word there.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure we see it and we reward it. We sit down after every in our team review and go through trademark clips from the game and even on the field, like, you know, it's not just celebrating the goals or the big moments, but, you know, the smothers and the things that we value, the blocks, putting the body on the line and just rewarding those things. And
Okay. Yeah, that was a great answer. Perfect.
No worries. Very good.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah.
Yeah, anytime.
You're a natural. You can take my job.
Would love to. Get me in the seat, Jack.
All right. Thanks, Twitter, mate. I know it's been an hour of your time, so really appreciate you coming on, mate.
No worries.
Final one. What are you excited about for 2021? What's on the horizon for you that pumps you up?
Stacks of things. I'm excited to graduate at the end of the year. Like I said before, 7 years in the making of my degree. I'm excited to be in the mix of finals this year. Since I've been at the club, we haven't sort of been competitive for finals this late in the year. So we've got a hard run home and it's we need things to go right. But just being a part of that for the last month, and I'm hopeful to be back for the last couple of games. So that's super exciting. And hopefully getting back to Melbourne and seeing family and friends, that would be unreal if COVID allows it, and getting a bit more of a normal off season compared to last year. So get out, get the hobbies done. I've had a surfboard that's been in my shed for about 1.5 years, never been used. So I need to take it out at some point. All my friends are giving it to me about that. So yeah, I think they're the main things.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Absolutely love the way you go about it, and you've always been a fun player to watch. So anyone that's tuned into this podcast, either live or the recording, will be watching your game closely. Those pressure tackles and goals that you put on, mate. So it's a unique role that you play. Not many can do it. So keep it up, mate. Love watching you, and thanks again for coming on and sharing all your experiences from the start to now, mate. Really appreciate it.
No, absolute pleasure, mate. Anytime, and good luck with the podcast, and hopefully I'll see you in Melbourne soon.
Absolutely. Cheers, Twitter. Thanks, mate.
All right, no worries. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, guys, we'll get the... All right, where's the crew? Here we are. I think Noah's logged off, but maybe Ramo, we'll start with you, Ramo, mate. What was your main takeaway from Twitter?
Really got to see firsthand is just his outlook on life. He seems like he's been playing the game, and he's had a 15-year career. The way he talks and just the things he's clearly picked up along the way, just from experience and assimilating everything and taking it all in and understanding what it all means. So he's really enjoyed listening to him. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, thanks for your question, mate, as well. It was good to dive a little bit deeper into that sort of things of the perception and how he manages it as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was good.
Corey, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, no, very similar. Just like you can tell the worth of knowledge he has. And just to pick his brain, like a couple of things in terms of the question I asked him about his pre-season, what a week looks like, and just like how he reiterated that you can't control what you can't control. As long as I go out there knowing that I've put the work in, that's all you can really do. And it's like I guess that's the type of injury that an ACL is. Like you just got to know that you've put all the work in, you tick it all off, and I mean you don't leave anything up to luck. All this, how he said, like all the 1%ers, how everything counts, whether it's, and it was actually really, really interesting. He's clearly very big on the mental side of footy, which I think is much more common now in AFL footballers. I think a lot of footballers will mention that they take that side of the game very seriously, because I think like that is where footballers can gain a competitive advantage over all their competitors, because I mean, a lot of the physical stuff, I mean, everyone does. You get as an AFL footballer, you all do your sessions together or whatever, and it's like the little 1%ers where you can really try and get an advantage over your competitors. So yeah, just how he said, how all the little 1%ers, even if it's not like an ice bath, for example, he doesn't look at it as like physically. He might just look at it as like he's ticked that off. Like that's a little mental thing, bang. So I think that really resonates with me, that the mental side of footy and during this preseason. I think that'll be important as well.
Yeah. It was a great question you have with Switter, because his approach is so elite in that space. The balance between listening to your body and knowing that it's not laziness. It's actually just not every session can be done to smash myself. Today I've got to listen to my body, communicate to the professionals, and do the right thing by my body, and then I'll have another day, rather than, like you said, it not listening to it and it spiraling out of control, and now you've got a big issue. So it was a good conversation, mate, and thanks for diving into it and having a few topics of discussion as well, and how that helps your game. So it was a good one.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome, mate. What about Webster? What did you get out of it?
It was great to see how down to earth he was, and how he had, like as the others said, he had a really, I guess, well-rounded view on not just footy but life in general. And he really thought about the uni and the other things he wants to do post. And also, I'd say like the main thing is, that the footy clubs definitely do things outside of footy, and working on chemistry and building mental strength and stuff like that. But it was just interesting to see him sort of go into it, like, because you don't actually really get the, I guess, inside scoop on how they go about it. So I found that interesting, sort of what they do after post games and with each other.
Yeah, it was a good thing you brought about that trademark, and I think it's a pretty strong space, both like what Corey said with the competitive advantage of the mental side, but also culture as well. Like, you can have, a lot of clubs will have trademarks, but it's about actioning them and the importance of that, and building a good environment where you safely challenge each other as well, which was a good thing that he brought up. That, it doesn't matter if football or any sort of performance, whether it be at work or anywhere, if you can challenge each other and not affect the relationship, but be constructive, and you're actioning things that are important to that group, they're pretty powerful things.
And definitely helps build the whole team once you start doing that.
Yeah, I think he said the respect and trust is built with the team as well when you're doing those things. So that was good. I think this is a good segment, guys. So the team now.
I think works well. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
So I'll this part won't go on the podcast. Little debrief. This will go on the group as a private section for Academy members. But and same with your questions as well. So I'll snip it up so it's all kept on. Those that tuned in live for the chat, and those are on the Facebook group will watch these questions and this debrief. I'll get it all together and post on there so you can check it all out.
Beauty.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Thanks, Jack. Cheers.
We'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, guys.
That's good.
See ya.
Yeah.
Catch. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to have another podcast live chat next week. And we've also got our monthly giveaway starting on Friday. I've collaborated with 4 other businesses, the Sporting Parent, the Inner Game Journal, Athletes Authority, and the Health and Performance Collective. So be sure to tune in for that collaboration. There's over $1,000 of prizes to be won. All you need to do is to share, tag, and comment in that post that we post on Friday to enter that competition to win over $1,000 worth of prizes. So tune in. Our post will be on Friday, and get involved. And until next time, thanks for joining us.